Welcome to Drop Pod, episode 17. The last episode, which was the season premiere of this new era of Drop Pod, I didn't like the quality. It definitely wasn't up to my standards as a narrator, somebody that has to produce audio content regularly. I should have known better than to put that out. Luckily, the reception to 17 was positive enough, but it didn't quite live up to my expectations, so I decided to go ahead and drop another episode. This is stuff that people usually have to go on a Patreon for, but I don't have any of that. So you guys get an extra episode. Welcome. I wanted to start the episode by addressing a comment that I had received via DM pertaining to yesterday's episode. Or I guess when this releases. Tuesday's episode. Tuesday's episode of Drop Pod. The question in question was, do I really believe that this year is hard on millennials? This is referencing part earlier into episode 17 when I had said that this year, 2024, is definitely harder on my generation for sure. And do I actually believe that? I mean, it's not a tough sell, in all honesty, to believe that. I mean, reading, my local news headlines alone, or going on Twitter and seeing people within my age group kind of show their worries as far as, am I going to be able to pay off my student loans? Am I going to be able to pay my bills? Am I going to be able to live, basically, right? And I'm pretty sure a lot of you out there know this as better as anybody, that if you're surviving, you're not living. And I feel like, especially if you're still in school and you're dealing with things like loans, it's like, man, every day's a struggle. You find yourself not able to do the things that you want to do, and it just wasn't the case. You go back a couple decades ago. You go on Twitter and you're looking at everybody kind of talk about what they're feeling in the moment, but they're doing it with airs of like, I guess, sarcasm. A lot of it is meme based, right? I mean, you look at the currently big news on Bungie. Bungie just laid off around 220 employees at the time of this recording. And you're seeing people go on Twitter and they're making jokes and memes of the situation, and that's fine. That's how people can get through it and be able to communicate their thoughts and in a way that they deem appropriate. I mean, it's definitely crazy when you're looking at these posts and you're seeing the aftermath, the chaos of it all. Excuse me, I keep doing this thing where I hit the mic. Hopefully that didn't get picked up. From Sam Bartley, who is now presumably let go from Bungie, had said, "Coward, you did this. You chose this. I'm already listed as do not work with, in quotes, and I don't care anymore. You lied to my face, straight to it. You also invited me to come see your cars 2 days before you laid me off. 2 fucking days. Leave now." At the time of this recording, Pete Parsons, the CEO of Bungie, has privated his personal Twitter account. People are saying that he did this well in advance of the blog post that Bungie had put out, or even the report that Bungie had let go of these many people, citing itself as, "We were too ambitious." Apparently not if your CEO is hell bent on going to auctions and buying cars. On his Twitter profile, you can see the bio that he has for himself, where he says F racism and social injustice, but he is one of the very proponents to this social injustice that he so seeks to get rid of. Beyond the comments that I've been seeing from this chaos, a lot of it is structured around memes that, once again, people find a easy solution to bring out their ideas. I think exchanging ideas productively requires gentleness. It requires sincerity in what you're saying. And I like memes. Of course I do. I like the memes that I see on Twitter if I'm just browsing every now and then. But I think it's easy to say what you don't believe in a funny voice, as it is useless. We need honesty. We need a willingness and openness to change, the ability to say, not admit, when we don't know something. All of that seems fictitious as of now. I don't know if you've heard, but we are currently in the midst of a culture war where my side is right, unequivocally so, and your side is stupid. Simple as. The bedrock of philosophy was founded on the idea that I could challenge one's beliefs with my own, and we have a forum in which these ideas clash. That was all well and good in the mid 350 BC era, when Socrates was just calling out on, what people kind of just accepted as fact or law. I think when we strain ourselves in this new era where anyone can just hash out ideas and information, whether that is true or false, you start to see the cracks as disingenuous or faulty. People are trying to say everything while simultaneously saying nothing, when everything is said with airs of sarcasm and wanton worry that if I say the wrong thing, these people on my screen are going to cause static for me. And I can't have that. And that's my answer to, do I really believe that this year is hard on millennials? I feel like ideas need to be structured better than what they are now. Who's to say if things get better immediately? It's going to take a long time, especially if things like laying off 15% of your workforce is anything to go by. But that is merely my observation. I would love for you guys to share in the comments and what you think of the year going on so far. I hope things are easier for you, at least. That's all anyone can really hope for, if we're all lucky. I see these posts every now and then, various social media types, whether that's Twitter, even the occasional Facebook, LinkedIn, where it's like, I've been applying for jobs for the past 8-something months and nothing's changed. And I always feel bad about those sort of posts, because it's like, man, at least that's not happening to me. It could be far worse for me right now. I have to thank my stars that I'm able to even sit here and share my ideas currently, that I have a platform in which to do so, and I have all my faculties at least together for the most part right now. Aside from the seemingly overwhelming chaos that we find ourselves in, last episode I also brought up things that I planned on doing for the channel. I talked a bit about getting more into horror stuff. I believe next week's episode is going to be something different that you guys aren't really expecting for the show. I think I'll cover a story for like the later half of the episode next week. By cover a story, I mean read a story. You guys might appreciate that. Who knows? If it bombs, well, then it bombs. But if it's good, then I may do a spin-off of Drop Pod, where I can kind of just read things and share my thoughts narratively. talked about wanting to play through Resident Evil as a franchise and then Silent Hill as a franchise, as I feel like I should have done so already, is what I said last episode. Something else I wanted to attempt is achievement hunting. I fell out of achievement hunting, I think, when I came to PC. It's just achievements never really mattered, especially to the games that at the time I was heavily invested in, which was Path of Exile, Dota 2, and Counter-Strike at the time. Those games, aside from well, Dota 2 has achievements in the form of community-driven exploits. You can go on a website and go to dotabuff.com and look at the achievements that you currently have in-game. There's also challenge runs within Dota 2, like the all-hero challenge where you play every hero. I thought it would be fun to kind of, and I think it brings longevity to some of the games that I play. So I've noticed in my own playthroughs, I kind of just play the game and then I'm kind of done with it. And a lot of these games are like supremely good. Like Resident Evil 8, I should give more time to, but I didn't. Same with Resident Evil 7. So I think that would be fun to kind of just like go through those games and grab the achievements and see what they do. My problem with achievements overall is just like they don't do anything. Like they're not used for anything, right? Like they're just bragging rights. And I've never been one of those people to like care about that sort of thing. There's a lot of people within my own community where it's like, no, these little challenges and bragging right points, like those matter. But to me, that was never the case. I'm kind of happy just to be there, sort of deal. So I thought I would go through some of these games and try my hand at earning the achievements. I think my interest kind of peaked when I streamed Shadow Tower about a year and a half ago now, where I streamed Shadow Tower, and I noticed that they had achievements for that game, even though that Shadow Tower came out long before achievements were even a thing. But there's you have a retro achievement community that puts the achievements out, and you can earn achievements while you're playing these older titles, and I think it gives more longevity to these games. So I kind of want to try that out. I don't know what I'll start with. I'll want to do something that I know for a fact is achievable without any cause of worrying about DLCs, or if the achievement can only be done in multiplayer, or if there's some random exterior factor. Like I want to do Metal Gear Solid 5, but I kind of can't because I think one of those achievements requires you to have had played the game when the servers were still active, and I don't know if I can do that now, though I think I would want to try at the very least. So we'll see what happens. So truth be told, I don't know what my streaming situation is going to look like. I don't know if I'll be taking more of a step back from the overall streams because I want to kind of focus on YouTube content. I think I'll leave streams for when I actually have something planned, rather than just, all right, here's a full playthrough of so-and-so game. But if there's something co-op related that I'm doing, or something that we had planned for the night, like for instance, every October, the Helljumper Discord, we get a server for SCP Secret Lab, and then we play that on stream, and those streams always do like fantastically well. They're a load of fun, and it's fun to kind of get together with the group, and everybody's kind of just like playing something at the same time. It's not no expectation sort of deal. That would be the idea anyway. Maybe I'd take a step back from streaming and focus more on just content creation on YouTube. I think that would be easier in general for people that mainly watch my VODs. I was looking through my stats, and I noticed that it's about 87% of my viewership comes from people watching the VODs. So it tells me that, well, one, I just don't stream at the right time. Two, um, I think people kind of just like digesting the content that I put out, on their time, which is fair. I don't really have the audience for streaming too, which is always like a worry for me. I don't want to be one of those very shallow people, but I think it's very, without being overly rude, I always find that cliche where there's a creator out there that will say, well, I would stream even if there was only one of you watching. And I personally, I don't believe that. Um, I'd argue that you would say that because you are, such a big figure on the platform, but I don't pull the same viewers and the same metrics as I did when I was streaming during COVID. During COVID, I was pulling about I think it was like 15, 18 viewers on a random stream, let alone a stream that was planned, such as like day one raids in Destiny 2 or even comp runs. That was some of my best performing content. And, you know, you trying to explain this in a way that would make sense for people that don't really do this sort of thing. But when you stop creating or you stop doing anything really, you're not exercising that muscle. And I took my hiatus. I think I took a little bit too long of a hiatus, and that kind of screwed up a lot of things that I had going for the channel at the time, especially as I was just getting into the Warhammer scene. And I really feel bad for the people that subscribe to me for Warhammer content. I just hope that the stuff I'm putting out right now currently is more in line with what you guys are seeking out of a creator like me, just a chill voice you guys can listen to and put in the background, or if I'm doing a actual video, something that you guys can kind of just learn something from, hopefully. I think overall I'm pleased with where I'm at currently. I have a particular editing style. I don't mimic anybody's style. I don't put out the same things that a lot of other creators do put out, and I think I can work with that. But it's just that I have to want to work for it, and I think that's kind of like the selling point for anybody that does content creation. So if I want to get back to the point where I was in COVID, barring the pandemic issue aside, I would have to, really work and be active in the community and just put out things that I think are fun for me, at least. So look forward to some horror related stuff in the coming days, in the coming weeks. I don't know if I'll keep to the same schedule that I had during COVID. I released a video like every week. Man, pre-COVID, I released a video every day before I had rebranded myself as Aegis, or I rebranded the group as Helljumpers. There was a video every day, whether it was Resident Evil 3, or if there was just something I found interesting in terms of content for that day. I think some of these videos are still up. I delisted some of these as they didn't make sense to who I am now. And I don't think it represents the quality of the channel as good as it does now. So I kind of, those are delisted. I don't delete videos. So that's like a huge no-no on this platform. You don't delete the videos. Maybe you want to come back to them at some point. Who knows? Uh, Talking about plans for the channel, I keep saying this, but I don't really have a way of like committing to it. And I kind of wish I did because I think it would be fun. In the, Let me hit my desk a bit more. Hopefully that helps. Sorry guys if you can hear that in the recording. When I'm narrating, I tend to stand up. It's just better that way, and you guys don't hear uh, the vocal fry as you guys are hearing right now. Because currently I'm just sitting down. I'm just at natural speaking tone. But when I'm narrating, I tend to stand up, and I make sure that I have good sound padding. Like the wall to my left is padded, so I can do my narrations. So you guys don't get the vocal fry if I'm just standing up. There's a completely different like cadence to what I'm saying than to what I'm doing right now. But I'm just sitting down right now, so I tend to have this like quirk of like I need to shift positions because I mean you're sitting down. Sometimes I hit the desk and I don't mean to. So if it gets picked up on the mic, I apologize. Not for the act of doing it, but for how that makes you feel. Don't at me. Anyway, I don't have a way of doing it right now. I would like to, but I think I would need to like pick up a camera, like an actual camera, in order to do so. But I kind of want to do some like cooking stuff on the channel. I think that would be fun. In the Discord, we have like a food dump, and I'd like to kind of share things that I've made, especially if it's like meal prep. Like sharing a lot of like the pasta based dishes that I make, and just the more Italian based dishes that people don't really get to see, especially like traditional, like Sicilian Southern style cooking, where it's like garlic spaghetti, even pizzas. Like I would love to show people how to like make a Sicilian style, square pizza. But I don't have a way of doing that right now. So I would like to later on, once I pick up like an actual camera that isn't a webcam, and though my current webcam is very good, it's just not made for that sort of task. So we'll see. I would have to shop around and come up with something, but that's a good idea. And I think if I put that out there, maybe it happens. Pod episode 17B. This is what's called a cutaway in audio production. So now we're on to new segments entirely for the remainder of the episode. I don't know how long the episode is really going to run. This is all off the cuff, and I just felt bad that I released something of pretty poor quality. I mean, I kind of felt pressed for time, and yeah, these are excuses, whatever. But I had recorded that episode like the day my internet went out, and I'm just like, okay, well maybe we can do something offline. I was just like, all right, let's record Drop Pod because I keep saying this will come back. And I think this was kind of like a huge kick to tell me like, hey, do anything else. Let's not stream right now. Let's just do something else. So there I was, and I recorded it, and I haven't used Audition in a while. The last narration project that I did was, let's see here. I still have it in my calendar. Okay, so the last narration project I did is July 1st, which was a couple of days before my sister's birthday. That was the last narration project I did. So I haven't used Audition really for basically the rest of the month. So I wasn't checking my levels. I wasn't checking anything. I didn't threw on some random EQ and called it a day because I felt kind of pressed. I was like, all right, well, called the engineers. They're supposed to come over, fix the internet. Because apparently it's supposed to be fixed by now. I was like, all right, well, I may have an hour at most to kind of do something. All right, let's record Drop Pod. And so I did. I think I bring this up like every so often. Does anybody write? You guys write? You guys like writing? I'm not talking about from like the last episode either of writing your day-to-day objectives out. But like, do you guys just like writing? You guys write any stories? I ask this. I used to be in creative writing for a time, so I'm still very infatuated with just putting ideas to paper and coming up with something. I did a stream last night where one of the hell jumpies in the group, 8-Bit, also known as Slug, had said, "Oh, you should probably make a game," and it was a very offhanded, comment towards the end of the stream. But I was like, God, I don't even know where I'd start. But I got to writing and detailing what I would like to do if I made a game, and I think I've come out with an outline that it's very much achievable. The feature sets that I want to include, that's going to be a whole another can of worms, but the basis of what I want to do is very much achievable, and I was writing all of that out. I was like, oh, okay, so what I want the game to be, is there a setting? What are the enemies? What are the features that I want? What are going to be my limitations? And I was detailing all of that out. I was working earlier in the day, and whenever I kind of have just like free time, when I'm not answering emails, I'm just like, all right, well, let's get to work on outlining the game. And I think I came up with something kind of neat. I'm gonna develop something in Unity. It's kind of a cross between a extraction shooter with roguelite elements. And as I was workshopping how I'd want to do it, it's the plan is coming together. I don't know anything about Unity development, but it's coming along pretty well. I did a mod for a game way back in, so it was 2013. It's either 2013 or 2014. The game was called Running with Rifles, and at the time I was in game design class for high school. And I was working on this mod due to a project. And the game ran off of this sort of splat map design, and the visuals were voxel based. So everything kind of looked blocky, and I kind of want that for the game. Not blocky as in like Minecraft, but it looked easy to work with for somebody that doesn't know anything about 3D. And I was able to, the mod that I had at the time kind of made some futuristic elements. I brought in weapons from Crisis and Halo, and I was able to model these weapons in this space. And then at the time, if you wanted to work on maps, you would have had to have used Inkscape. And you would look at the map that you're creating in a 2D plane, and that's basically all you would do. So you'd be able to make these models. I was able to change each of the 3 factions at the time into some more futuristic looking soldiers, and it was basically a recreation of Running with Rifles with these sci-fi aesthetics, as opposed to the game's more, I'd say, World War-esque design. So that's basically what I would be doing for this game. It wouldn't be like a top-down shooter. I would want it to be first person, but I think it would be easy to work with a voxel style model when I don't know anything about 3D modeling in general. So this would be a one-man ordeal. But it would be a extraction shooter with roguelite elements. and got a lot of inspiration from playing Sulfur during that stream. The way that the weapons that you pick up and the attachments that you pick up are actually able to be shown on the weapon that you're currently wielding. So if I pick up a laser sight for a gun and I attach the laser sight is visible. And I didn't think that the game would even go that far, but it definitely works. And the way that it shows it in game is, it's pretty cool to see. So I would want things like that. The whole premise of the game, really, at its core values, that you go into a raid and everything that you pick up, everything that you use is on-site procured. So you don't really start with anything. You start with the clothes on your back, and you're sent into a raid, and you need to pick up things, whether that's off of like the ground and chests. Maybe you see dead enemies sprawled out, so you get to pick up their weapons. The goal is to get enough equipment and arm yourself in the safe house in which you reside, and you'd be able to fend off these opposing factions with your safe house, and that would basically be the game complete. And when you feel like you're able to take on the enemy factions with your safe house intact, that's basically game over. But you can go into as many raids as you like until you feel like your safe house is adequately equipped. And the limitations that I had thought of, but the things that I want to feature is like safe house upgrading. So it would make sense if your safe house is going to be fighting, you would want to upgrade it and bring in higher rarity loot and things of that nature. I also wanted a skill tree system. Nothing too, it's definitely not going to be Path of Exile crazy, but I wanted something similar to, I guess, like Diablo 2. The more you use a weapon type, because you're not really much of anything, you're just some dude. But the more you use a weapon type, the more experience you gain with that weapon type, and then that would unlock certain abilities for that weapon family. Like, for instance, I was storyboarding it and going into like pistols, for instance. Those are going to be the more common weapons that you can use. And somewhere along the tree, it's going to have its own unique skill in the form of dual wielding. So you pick this skill, and then you'd be able to dual wield pistols if you desire. The setting that I had was, it's also kind of World War based. So if you turn the pistol into like a carbine, then you wouldn't be able to dual wield. But if there's no like carbine stock on it or nothing of that nature, then you'd be able to dual wield the pistols. And I thought that might be kind of neat. But those are one of the limitations, because I would have to figure out one, how are you gaining this experience, and then how are you able to deposit these points, and what's storing these points, and all that good stuff. As far as looting goes, I would need to figure out a way how to store the loot once you come back from a raid. But I have currently, because at this point I'm just trying to learn the ins and outs of what I'm able to do with Unity as far as its projects, that I've been able to put a character on the map, make it first person, so that the controller is in a first person room set. I put it on like a gray block, and then you're able to move around. So I got that far. In a matter of a day, I got that far. I think that would be a fun little hobby to kind of work on. I don't know if it goes anywhere, but the things that I intend for it are definitely achievable. But the more grandiose stuff, like the skill trees and stuff like that, I'd have to really play around with it. Which is kind of funny, because I got off of work, and then I was looking at my YouTube, and I saw I used to have like this playlist of like game design stuff, especially when I was still in school. But I started seeing those videos kind of pop back up in my feed. So I was like, oh, okay, maybe this is a sign that I should probably start watching these if I'm actually gonna work on this as like a little hobby thing. Um, I don't know what will come of the project, but I trust in my ability to work on it and uh, get it going. I think Sulfur kind of lit a fire under me that maybe I could. So we will see where it goes. If you guys keep me honest on it, I will update you guys as I work on it. This will be a nice little project for me to work on, just something to keep me busy, aside from the general writing, narrating job. Speaking of narrations, I'd announced on one of my streams that I'm looking for stories that I need to narrate so I can add that to a portfolio of sorts. If you guys could do your best and find me some stories to read, not books, mind you, just simple works. They can be written. They can be written by you for all I care, just as long as it's something that I can read and kind of just show off my vocals. I'm looking for stuff that I can kind of just read without any static in terms of like, oh, is somebody going to come after me if I read this because I didn't get permissions, explicitly from them. So if you guys find anything like that, let me know. Some series on Twitch that I'm planning. I'm going to do a Stalker run. I really enjoyed the Stalker series that I was starting, I believe, like a year and some change ago. I didn't get a chance to complete it, but I loved playing it, and I kind of want to get back to it. The series may be co-op, it may not be co-op, who knows? Depends on a few factors. That's what I'm planning for Twitch, and I think for YouTube, I'll start doing my Resident Evil playthrough. And I just want to start doing some short form stuff. I don't know what exactly I would be doing. Maybe I cut parts of the podcast up into just like bite-sized things that people can kind of just see on their feeds. If they like the podcast, then they can watch Rock Pod on YouTube or Spotify whenever that happens. Spotify still isn't off the table. It's not on the table, but it's not off of it either. It's Schrodinger's podcast at the moment. Really appreciate the vibes that I got on episode 17's release. So I feel bad in a way that I'm putting this out because it was a well-received episode, but it's like it was nowhere in line with the sort of quality that I hold myself to. I mean, even this episode isn't going to really hit the mark. There's going to be a lot of vocal frying. As I explained, I'm sitting down right now instead of just like standing up to do this recording, but this is just natural speaking voice. I'm kind of just talking to you guys rather than, narrating or sharing a story even. There's also going to be maybe a problem, and I shouldn't be announcing this 40 minutes in, but I think there might be a slight problem with the noise reduction. And I'm still trying to figure out the ins and outs of SteelSeries GG and its sonar tech, which is what I use to kind of split my audio and also balance my EQ outside of Go XLR. But at least you guys don't hear any random clicking. Or at least I hope you don't. And if you do, well, at least it isn't as bad as it was on 17. Aside from that, some game stuff. Andrew Wilson, EA's CEO, was on a earnings call couple days ago, and he was talking about this like really bold ambition that he has for the next Battlefield, and it was a little bit concerning, uh, as a fan of the franchise, because I feel like the same thing was said for 2042, and that didn't quite meet the mark. And this next Battlefield that is slated to release, or rather, it's of the community's opinion that this game will at least hear something. If not, the game will release towards the end of 2025. It's going to have the largest amount of employees working on this particular game. Um, he kind of embellished. I don't know. I mean, he obviously has like the figures and numbers in front of him to report this, but I think a lot of us in the community were kind of like, I don't know about that one, Chief. Wilson had said that 25 million players have connected with the franchise over the past 12 months. I wouldn't, I don't know about all that. But I mean, there's so many factors, numbers that we're not seeing on console, and what is constituting as a players. Where are they hyping this up from? Are these organic? Are these returning? Are these, where are they playing from? Whether it's console, Steam, Origin app, stuff of that nature. And there's been a lot of skepticism about whether or not EA is even going to be able to deliver on such a grandiose game. I mean, you have so many people working on this, and he said somewhere in the earnings call that this was like one of their strongest financial years. But that's not because of Battlefield. That's due to EA Sports, college football, and sports games in general just have so much longevity to them. Hopefully we get more news of the upcoming Battlefield. This one is slated to have a connected multiplayer and single player experience, whatever that means. Whether that's whatever you're doing in the single player campaign will have implications on the multiplayer. It's too early to tell, but I hope it comes out immaculate. So we kind of need a dub for this franchise. I mean, we need a dub in general for game development right now. Feels like we had just talked about Bungie removing a handful of their employees, and then here we go again, removing a handful of employees. And, there's no telling what's going to happen with this franchise. So it was reported by somebody that had left Bungie during the wake of this madness that Destiny 2 was going to get an upcoming raid, and that it was coming out pretty well. So I'm wondering what's going to happen with that. And or Bungie activities being stunted as a result of negligence on Pete Parsons' part. I read through a little bit of the downsizing, and from what I gathered, some of these roles do include people in the upper echelon of their company in terms of C-suite, but I don't know if that, no, probably doesn't. Probably doesn't include Pete Parsons. He's going to be sitting there atop his throne of cars. And I'm just waiting for all of the talking heads to, give their opinion on matters that it's bad, but I'd rather not see anybody weaponize their communities and go full on hostile. I mean, that this medium isn't made for that. I think if you are somebody that claims to be in games journalism, you kind of have a responsibility to make sure that you are being a responsible creator and letting your community know that, hey, regardless of what I'm saying here, just we are responsible for our actions, and the people that you are going to be communicating with on these matters, they are people, and I just want you to know that. at the end of the day. I would say the same to you guys if I was actually covering this, but I'm no qualms journalist. I just hope that's whatever you're doing out there in the internet space, it's done responsibly. And as I said at the beginning of the show, it's sincere. There was a post that I came across just a couple of nights ago, and it was basically this guy took a picture of his brother playing Diablo 2 in 07, and I was just thinking, man, that was such a simpler time. Yeah, Halo 3 releasing in just a few short months. Remember coming home from school and just jumping on Diablo 2. At the time, I was also playing RuneScape, so it was like, jump on Diablo 2, do a couple of Bale runs, and then jump on RuneScape and farm for a little bit. And those were my days, and those were the things I'd look forward to coming home from school. It was just simple. I wasn't worried about nothing. Certainly wasn't worried about the decline of quality from the gaming industry, and I wasn't worried about things like microtransactions and the overwhelming sunk cost fallacy of free-to-play games and everything else that kind of just plagues our industry at the moment. I wasn't worried about none of that. Certainly never thought about no loot box. I'm glad that whole debacle is over for the most part. You guys have a time that's like, this was the most simple time in my life, for sure. For sure, 100%. For me, I'd like to imagine it was like 2007 through like 2010. Things were just clean. Xbox 360 was still, through 2007, very much new. I think I had like a few games for it between Gears of War and it was Kane and Lynch. It's Kane and Lynch and then Assassin's Creed. Those were like the first few games I got for my 360. Up until that point, I was strictly PC game and PC Garmin. Between Diablo 2, Warcraft, not World of Warcraft, mind you, but actual Warcraft, and then even StarCraft. I think I was just a Blizzard boy. Aside from RuneScape. And Battle-On. Battle-On was a thing. I think I brought this up a couple episodes ago, but you guys remember Adventure Quest? Probably not, because the game was older than sin. They had Adventure Quest and then they had Mech Quest, and fond memories of both of those games. Those were my days, man. But now I'm forced to pay bills and feed myself and make sure I'm looking after my body and working out. Oh, and I also have to look after a dog. So there's that. That's going to do it for this episode, guys. I hope that this episode is received even better than the last. If you guys have any stories for me, I would very much appreciate if you lay them on me in the comments below and or DM. I still read every comment. I'm nowhere at the level where that wouldn't be the case. So go ahead and share your stories. And as always, thank you for tuning in.